Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Field Between. My name is Ahmed.
I'm Yasmin. You pumped up, Ahmed?
Yeah.
You sound pumped up.
I wanted to start with something kind of somewhat serious. Folks, I've been for a while now fighting a silent battle. A secret war rages on within me. It's like there's a wolf or a wolf man inside of me, like those books that women like to read.
What?
And it's something that I've frankly been ashamed to talk about, and something that Yasmin has also told me to keep silent, but I am a drug addict.
And
I am in active recovery right now. Going through some withdrawal symptoms.
So just for clarity, so no one thinks, because this is an issue some people actually do struggle with. You were
like me.
You were prescribed these drugs, and you are
My dealer, yes.
by a physician, and with
I don't see a difference.
You are working with your physician to lower your dosage, and you're having symptoms of withdrawal.
Yeah, I thought it was because I apparently the withdrawal symptoms on this medication, which I was taking for pain, start immediately. Like you miss a dose and you start to have withdrawal symptoms. And the first day that I missed the dose was the same day that I went and got 2 vaccines, the COVID and flu, and being a vaccine skeptic and a freedom fighter who was forced to get a vaccine by
and a man
by his liberal pro-vaccine wife, who, I don't know, I guess likes the mind control aspect of it. Is that something you're into?
Yeah, definitely. I'm into that.
I thought it was severe autism
Oh my God.
setting in, and I thought there were even more wolves inside of me than before. And so it was getting really out of hand, but it turns out that the symptoms I was feeling was not severe onset autism.
You thought that severe headaches were a symptom of autism?
I mean, I don't know how it starts, but
that could be it.
My good friend RFK Jr. said that it does that, and I believe everything he says. But
yeah, it's too bad that the symptoms are so strong. I'm glad that you're slowing down the rate that you're cutting it off.
The brain zaps were the worst. So like you just walk around and suddenly for like a click of a second, you know, it feels like your brain just kind of like shuts off and on again. Like someone has a light switch and they just like
You were saying it feels almost like you're going to faint, right?
Yeah,
but for like a
millisecond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds so strange.
It happens several times.
Experienced anything like that?
Like several times, you know, frequently. It's not like once every hour or something. It's like once every minute, or sometimes multiple times a minute.
Yeah.
In rapid succession.
I don't really understand.
That seems to have gone away.
I don't understand why you had to like wean off of these before starting your new medication. I don't really get that.
I didn't have to. That's my choice.
You wanted to. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you still talked to your physician.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
But my physician did not mention.
First
of all, did not mention the withdrawal aspect or the tapering at all when I was prescribed the medication, and also didn't mention it when I told them that I wanted to be off of it. They just said to taper. And then I remember when he was prescribing it, he was like, yeah, this is such a low dose that you probably won't have any side effects. And
you didn't have that many when you were on it, but yeah.
I did.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But it did seem like it was helpful in a time that you were in like a critical amount of pain.
Yes. It didn't completely resolve the pain, but it helped from like the worst flare-ups. And then I think the thing that I actually liked about it was that it really helped with brain fog, which is something that I experience often where I'm just kind of like in a haze of thoughtlessness, and I feel like it helped me be able to focus and feel present. So I'm gonna miss that, and I'm wondering if there's something else that I can take.
Yeah, I think that's worth exploring. I also wonder if the answer is going off of this or just going on a lower dosage.
I'm on the lowest dosage of this medication you can be on. Yeah.
Got it. So if you went much lower, you might not get the positive effects.
I might just become an Adderall guy.
I mean, it's worth like seeing if you could get a prescription.
And start trading stocks.
I think you would be able to get a prescription through a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just say I need this for my stocks.
Yeah.
But that's it. What's going on with you?
Well, you forgot another big update. Tomorrow's your first day at work.
Oh, that's right. I think last time
exciting.
we podded, dropped pod. What is the word?
I don't know. I think potted sounds nice.
Last time we dropped pod, I think we didn't know if it was official or not, but we felt pretty certain about it.
I think we said that it was, but it is actually official and that you were starting tomorrow.
Official, signed the paperwork.
Which is really exciting.
And yeah, start tomorrow.
Can we talk about some of our future plans?
Sure.
So we are going to be here in January.
I'll be here. You'll be here in January.
I'll be here too.
Yeah.
We're going to New York in December for just 6 days, which we're looking forward to be with family for the holidays. And then February, March, and April, I will be mostly located in New York. So I'll be there like 3 weeks out of the month. You'll be in Pittsburgh like 3 weeks out of the month.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually traveling like quite a bit, actually. I think you're traveling February, March, and April. Or January, March, and April, maybe.
Potentially January, February, March, and April.
Every month?
I think so.
Oh, I thought it was just 3 months.
I think it might be more.
Got it. Okay, so you're traveling like around once a month, and then you're going to also come to me around once a month, and I'll come to you once a month. So we'll be kind of in movement, but I'm really excited. I haven't been in New York. I mean, I'm going to miss you a lot.
We don't have to move out of our apartment.
Yes, which honestly I was down to do.
We were like 2 days away from having to be like, okay, I guess we got to pack our shit up and go.
Yeah, because we just like had drained our savings and we couldn't afford rent anymore. But I'm like very happy to think way things turned out, but I was like I'm happy because I wanted you to be happy, but I would have been okay with moving. Like I didn't feel sad about us both moving to New York together. Mm-hmm. But it would have been a massive lift. Like we would not be chilling right now podcasting. We'd be packing up all of our stuff.
Yeah.
And also like, I don't know, certain things like it's been so special having the cafe in this space. So I'm glad that it's going to have its full run for the rest of our lease. And it's kind of nice in a time that we're going to have a lot of transition this year. I think it worked out the way it was supposed to. And certainly it was nice to be able to like make the choice together instead of like being forced to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I haven't been in New York for more than like a month at a time since I was 18. So I'm really looking forward to it. Like there's a bunch of friends I want to reconnect with. There's a lot of people that are acquaintances that I want to connect with, academic, activist, otherwise. It's corny but true. I'm just really excited to spend a lot of quality time with my family. My family is really close. Both my sisters and their families also live in New York. Everyone was in Brooklyn until recently. One of my sisters moved to Queens. Like that's the furthest anyone has gone.
Yeah.
And they all get together all the time without me. And I always like, I love my life.
Not without you.
Here.
It's just you're not here. You're not there. It's not like
it's not intentional. I'm just
you.
saying like, you know, they often see each other.
They're not like, oh, let's not invite Yasmin
no, of
to
course
travel.
Not. But I miss them. Like
miles.
it's because of my career that I don't live in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, I might not live in New York otherwise, but I think we would definitely be closer to them if it wasn't for my job here. Would probably be in Philly or something.
That's the downside of feminism.
It's the downside of academia.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited to spend time with them. I'll miss you a lot. That's definitely the most that we've been together, but not together since we like got together. Like forget about married.
The most we've been together.
It'll be the most that we have been apart, like the most regularly. Yeah. So I'll miss you a lot, but I am really excited for all those things.
Sad.
And also it'll be kind of cute, like, you know, even because like I didn't.
Should we write letters?
That'd be sweet. Also, I want to like plan dates for each other. I think that'd be really fun. Like I think when we see each other, we should take turns planning dates.
Oh. I mean, when you come here, it's just gonna be.
No, plan a date for me.
No, I know, but there's not as much to do in Pittsburgh.
I haven't taken the rail yet. We could go to Lush.
Yeah, yes, we can. Yeah,
we
can take the train. No, there's stuff
plenty
to
of things.
do.
We
Yeah,
haven't gone to see the Ivanka murals. We haven't.
Troy Hill.
There's a bunch of like restaurants we wanted to try.
Yeah.
I'm
just gonna keep taking you to Primanti's.
Oh my god, that would be so sad. I was gonna say, I like when I was at the conference. Have we podcasted since the conference? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay. When I was at the conference, like one thing that is kind of nice about being apart is like it makes you like kind of appreciate your person more. Like not like you want to create that feeling all the time, but I did really miss you. And even though I was super sick, I was like really happy and excited to see you.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of cute to kind of recreate some of those feelings of like dating almost. But But yeah, so that's us, February, March, April. Then May, we're back here for the rest of the month, finishing out our lease.
Mm-hmm.
Might do a weekend trip to North Carolina, maybe see ahead of your family and some friends. Got to figure that out.
Okay.
And then June, July, August, and I'm starting to think September too. I'm starting to think we should do 4 months.
4 makes sense.
Yeah, I think so too. We're thinking that we'll go to California.
Right, because our lease is over.
Our lease is over.
The next place, my job is remote, but I'll be between San Francisco and Pittsburgh. And, we think that just to be closer to my work for a little bit.
And I'm excited.
And you're off because you have
I'm
sabbatical.
like writing my book, but as long as I have my books, I can do that anywhere.
Yeah, so you don't have to teach. So it
I'm
gives
not
us an
tied to
opportunity
campus,
to just be anywhere we want.
And I'm super excited. Like I really wanted to go somewhere during that time. So it kind of works out perfectly.
And so we're going to adopt new pseudonyms and we're going to go to California. You are Annabelle.
I didn't know you were sharing that. Yeah.
And my name is Mr. Ramen.
We've had like a kind of romanticized idea. Though I will say Mr. Ramen sounds a little bit less romantic than Annabelle. Yeah. Of like, whenever you move, you feel like you can kind of like reinvent yourself. So maybe we'll just
Is this a more serious thing for you? Like this was...
I'm not like serious.
You actually wanted to be Annabelle? What's Annabelle like?
Like it's like what would be my West Coast personality? Like I'm thinking about dyeing my hair red.
You want to surf? You've been looking up surfing.
Yeah, but then I realized that actually the Bay Area is really bad for surfing. That's like more Southern California.
Thrashed around with some rocks.
Yeah, it's apparently like only for like expert surfers, and that's not me.
You can buy the gear.
Right, just like wear it around our apartment. Yeah. So we gotta like find a place and all that to sublet. We'll put our stuff here in storage. But I feel like we already I've been planning and I've been researching a lot instead of doing my work, which has been really fun. And I feel like we've already got a lot of good leads in terms of areas and ways to make it work. So yeah.
I haven't really given much thought into what Mr. Ramen's personality would be like, but I think I would be wearing a lot of suits and carrying a hard briefcase.
You'd be wearing a lot of suits as someone named Mr. Ramen?
Yeah.
What Mr. Ramen sounds like such a silly name. I'd expect that you'd be wearing something colorful or
That's the duality of Mr. Ramen.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. And I wear small sunglasses.
Are you a gangster? What's your
I do want greaser hair, maybe a snake tattoo.
On your neck?
No, I think more on the forearm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. A lot to look forward to. But yeah, I'm really excited.
And I don't eat ramen.
Okay.
Because of the negative association from my childhood.
With the name, even though you go by it. I get it. I'm super excited to explore a different part of the country together. I think it'll be really fun. And then we'll come back here and we'll be here. So we'll miss Pittsburgh and we'll miss our friends and all that, but it kind of helps that we know we're definitely coming back.
Yeah. What do you mean? We're not going to die?
Well,
we know.
I was going to say, I don't feel that sad about it. When we left North Carolina, I felt really sad, but we weren't moving back to North Carolina. This is more of an interlude. We're not moving away,
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit different for me, to be fair, because I'm actually gone for 7 months. I'm gone for most of the
a big
chunk of the year.
You're gone for a long time.
So I will miss people here.
Yeah, that's true.
But they'll be here when I get back, inshallah.
Unless
something
bad happens.
Yeah, and also a lot of my
inshallah
friends.
Inshallah does not.
Thankfully, we have a mix of people in our lives, but we do have a number of friends who are academics because I'm tied to the university and we've met people through the university and stuff. And a lot of them are doing these kind of fall sabbaticals, so people have been coming in and out already a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all I have in terms of updates.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. I guess maybe the most breaking pressing news is just not surprisingly sad. There was the shooting in Bodie Beach of a Hanukkah celebration. Is that right?
Yeah, and super awful.
Yeah, that's bad. That's
not much to say besides
11 people died. I think more were injured, but I don't know if there's a final count. Seems like they got the gunman. I don't know if you saw this, but the guy who tackled one of the gunmen, just a civilian, not a cop or anything, there's video of it. He goes up and the gunman is using just massive long gun to just shoot people down. He tackles him, takes away the gun, disarms him. The guy tries to run away, but I think one guy ends up one of the gunmen gets shot, the other one gets captured. And when the video started circulating, everyone was just like, oh man, this guy's a hero. This guy's a hero. Netanyahu went and made a speech and was like, this is Jewish heroism. This guy is like,
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And he's like, this is a tragedy, but obviously using the horrible tragic event as like political fodder to just be like, Jews are unsafe, Jews, and they are, in a lot of places clearly, but it's not made better by Israel. But setting that aside, it turns out that the guy who tackled him was this Syrian fruit vendor immigrant who is Muslim.
Yeah, it does seem like the shooter might also have been Muslim,
and the shooter also anti-Semite Muslim, which is horrible.
That is funny that he mischaracterized. That keeps on happening with so many of these incidents.
Yeah, and then there was a shooting at Brown.
One more thing about the synagogue shooting.
Yes,
I mean, this is not like really even adding anything, but just like there's a special. I mean, all shootings are awful, but I just feel like there's a special place in hell for people who disrupt people in holy places. Like how absolutely awful. Like all the families that were there. There was like 2,000 people there. Yeah, just absolutely awful. Like heart really goes out to people in this time who feel like they can't even like celebrate things that are sacred. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yes, and it's especially disgusting to see someone. Yes, there's a special place in hell for someone who turns spiritual worship and places of that and like community congregation and all that into spaces where people have to fear for their lives and be paranoid and all that. It's also really disgusting when someone like Netanyahu uses this event, someone who has been doing exactly that, not just to Muslims, but to Christians and day in, day out, right? Just like encouraging the wreckage of holy sites, terrorizing people as they worship, in addition to just, again, carrying out a genocide. But yeah, seeing his stupid fucking head go up and try to
spin this.
I don't have anything to say. Like, that's interesting on it.
This is also like a reminder that, like, and we've said this so many times, but I feel like I have to keep on saying it. You can acknowledge that anti-Semitism is increasing in the world, and you should acknowledge it. And you can still be like anti-Israel, right? Those things are not like incompatible. But I think it is true that like,
Then there was the
shooting at Brown.
I think 2 people died, 11 injured.
I haven't seen any motives or anything for that yet. Have you?
No.
Yeah, that like honestly, it's so sad. But I just kind of felt like okay, like another day in America.
But I did see that one of the students was also a survivor of like a previous shooting, and it's just
that's happening a lot now.
Yeah,
like that's increasingly happening, especially whenever there's a shooting at a college. Almost always someone was in a high school situation. Yeah. I feel like I know not everyone has this ability, but boy, would I take that as a sign from God to leave the fucking U.S. if I was in Jewish school. I mean, that's how awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
No amount of therapy can convince you you're safe because at that point you're like, well, I'm not, like. Yeah, that's awful.
And then there's like video that I'm seeing. I think this happened end of November, or maybe like early December, but there was just like some deranged guy who attacked some like Muslim Somali women in Virginia while they were going to the masjid or something.
Is this just kind of like general roundup of violent
acts?
It's
just bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got some stuff to talk about with the Somali Americans if you want to transition into that.
People are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up with Somali Americans? What's going on?
So a bunch of stuff, and I think it is like a little more nuanced than I realized. So the anti-Somali violence is not nuanced. That's bad, obviously. But Trump has really signaled out the Somali American community in a way that's really creepy and awful. And a lot of his ire is focused at like Ilhan Omar, who he's been like, and this is her wording, and she's so right. He's just like creepily obsessed with her. Like he just talks about her all the fucking time. It's very, very weird, and it also really is putting her life in danger in a way that's like very scary. Some of what came out about this is that there was some fraud that happened, like Social Security or social services fraud, amongst Somali Americans in Minnesota, which one obviously is not like an indictment of the entire community. It's not the case that like every Somali American in Minnesota has committed fraud, and like it is only ever minority groups that get kind of painted in this way. It does seem like there, at least according to like the Times coverage,
I
there's a
just want to
little
say
bit.
white landlords in particular stay scheming like
For
Section
sure.
8 housing stuff.
100%.
And
Yes.
yeah, it's
There
they're
does
not
seem
the
to
only
be like a
ones.
little bit of a dynamic, which is interesting, that like because the Somali community is so tight and well organized, there was like a little bit of a fear of investigation because they vote as a block and they're really tight. It reminds me a little bit of like
Jewish New Yorkers.
100%, specifically Hasidic, not just Jewish, but like the Hasidic communities are very tight and they vote as a block and they are very, very well organized. It's actually a pretty perfect analogy, actually. So, for example, there have been issues with like the community in Crown Heights specifically because there's two main Hasidic communities in Brooklyn and in New York, like not kind of keeping their private education standards up to like the state standards. But instead of doing investigations, like when politicians need votes, they like can pander a bit. So it seems like that did happen a little bit here with the Somali community.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's like a both end, right? Like you have to like be really careful not to demonize whole groups, and pandering is not like good governance either. Do you know what I mean? Like you do have to like look into questions of whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, the repercussions specifically of Trump, like just demonizing this community, have been really awful. I mean, people are really afraid. People are not leaving their houses. And it's also compounded with like ICE being in Minneapolis and ICE specifically trying to go after Somali Americans. There have been a number of clips that have emerged of people who are Somali American citizens who have, and I mean, this is happening all across the country, right? It's just happening specifically with Somali Americans in Minneapolis who are like showing their passports, who are walking around with their passports, and who are still like being beaten, being detained. So really awful. Yeah. Any thoughts on that before I talk about a fun social media response?
It's a thing they're trying out, right? Like they did the Haitian thing about them eating all their pets, and
That was like so random. Yeah.
and then they moved on to the Tren de Aragua and the El Salvadorans and the Venezuelans, and they're just throwing kind of spaghetti at the wall, these like very half-baked racially motivated things, because yeah, it's like a good way to sow fear and expand and offer the solution of, well, you just need more militarization and surveillance and things like that in your neighborhood. And like, also, this is the convenient excuse for why, Social Security doesn't work and there aren't any jobs and blah, blah, blah. So instead of like actually fixing anything, you just find a couple of scapegoats and you exhaust one group and then you move on to the next. And that's the news cycle for a bit. And my prediction is that in a month, no one's going to care.
I think it's a good reminder that also that like whenever there's like a scandal about social services being abused, far more often people are not getting access to the social services they need, and like communities are vastly under-resourced.
Well, what did we hear about whenever they said that, like the government was being scammed and so therefore the taxpayer was being scammed out of billions and trillions of dollars, and that's why we need Doge. And then Doge started digging into stuff and they were like, we can't really, there's not really any scamming going on. They tried to say like, this 150-year-old person's been taking Social Security and whatever. How could that be? And they're trying to say that this is the reason that we are $32 trillion in debt. And our speculative economy has nothing to do with it.
Or our massive military spending.
Our massive military spending, which is also speculative because apparently we just can't build like actual weapons that work anymore unless you're dropping them on civilians.
I think also the anti-Somali American kind of vendetta is like at a very convenient intersection of like Islamophobia, anti-blackness, anti-immigrant sentiment. So they're kind of just like, unfortunately, a perfect target for the Trump administration.
Well, that's what I have in my notes to ask you is like, what have you noticed about, like as a race scientist,
It's not my preferred term.
As a racial,
I don't go by race scientist.
As a race scientist, specifically looking at Muslim Americans.
Well, I actually want to talk a little bit more about Somali Americans first.
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
But then I was going to say, I think you had a note about care. We'll talk about that next. I can talk about that more with the care item.
Okay.
Yeah. But I want to talk about a response that Somalis have had to this, which is super hilarious. Have you seen these? I've sent you a few. No.
I mean, I kind of get the idea that, they've kind of been doing the whole like birthright thing for.
It's so funny. It's so good. I've never been. It just reminds me that there's so many really amazing like communities on the internet, and like obviously, not obviously, but I've never been privy to like Somali American Twitter or like Somali American TikTok or anything like that. But once I saw one or two reels, I kept on saving and liking them, and so now I get a bunch of them. It's such a good bit. It's so funny. The whole idea is basically making fun of like kind of the Israeli narrative of like, well, this land was promised to us thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
But they get so detailed. They go into like etymological reasoning of how like Minnesota is actually like a Somali promised land. You have all these pictures of like these beautiful, mashallah, like Somali women who are wearing like hijab and it's like blowing in the wind and they're just like me returning. It's just really funny. I'm just going to play one or two. And one thing that's also sweet is like...
Well, people can't... Are they going to be able to get it without seeing them?
Yes, I picked good audio ones.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also sweet. I feel like I should say I've spent a ton of time, but I have visited Minneapolis quite a bit. I went to college in Wisconsin, so I had a lot of friends from the Minneapolis area. People like grow up with like a lot of Somali friends, even when they're not Somali, right? People
you go to the freaking airport, it is run by Somalis. It's crazy.
They have that on lock. Yes, 100%. And then also the other big communities, the Hmong communities, are the two really large refugee communities. So it's also cute to see like white Minnesotans like getting in on the trend and like it's just really sweet and funny. Yeah. And like a really joyful response to what seems like a pretty stressful situation. Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense as like anything beyond Minneapolis is not like, it doesn't make sense as a site of war against the American people, right? Like it really is.
What do you mean?
He's chosen this specifically because he knows that Somalia and people know, what is it, like Mogadishu and like all this stuff, and that like harkens back to just all these war video games, and it's just like playing on vaguely racist stereotypes.
I think the other huge thing, frankly, is like, it's because like Tim Walz is there. I think he's like taking specific aim against like politicians that he doesn't like.
It has to do with Tim Walz?
Oh, 100%. He's been calling out Tim Walz in his speeches.
I think it has to do more with Ilhan.
I think both of them. Yeah. I think he's also just a vindictive motherfucker, and he's like picking off specific politicians he hates.
But it's like Minneapolis is not really, I guess, I mean, maybe with those two politicians, but like Minneapolis is not really a place that is that interesting to people in the U.S. It's like people don't get fired up about it the way.
What do you mean, like New York or L.A.?
Like New York, L.A., San Francisco, or like anywhere, like Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like even Minnesota, generally, like people aren't like, oh,
what are you saying? Minnesota's not exciting. What are you trying to say?
No, it's not. Like it's not like a city that people are gonna like ride or die for.
Well,
or
I
like
will
a
say
state
though,
that people
it is
are
like a very diverse,
for.
Interesting city, and I think it also,
yes,
I think it does play into. I think people kind of flatten the Midwest in their heads, but it kind of shows like how interesting the Midwest and how dynamic the Midwest is.
No, I know, but I'm saying the Trump base. I can imagine them getting riled up if over like they're getting mad about the mosque and or the Islamic school in Texas and this stuff, and they're just like, it's Texas. There's not supposed to be fucking Muslims here. Texas is like,
I don't really follow your logic. I feel like
the Alamo. And
if anything, they could be like, oh well, like New York, they're just heathens, but like Minnesota, that's supposed to be like good white country, like that's supposed to be the middle of America.
It's just not exciting.
Maybe you're not excited by it, but
yeah,
I think it's an exciting spot.
No, I'm not saying for me. I'm saying for the Trump base.
Yeah.
I'm saying like why.
I think they're just kind of rabid and excited about the idea of like bad immigrants anywhere,
Like even white people here, they, like the stereotype of Minnesotans is that they're kind of Canadians, and like we just don't really care about Canadians.
People think about Minnesota like Canada?
Yeah, because they have the Minnesota accent. And
they do.
Like all this stuff.
You did it really well. Yeah. I love Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota also was like the Minneapolis, the Twin Cities was a huge site for like the BLM uprising. So like there's a lot there, I think, in terms of like activism.
That's
and
true. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And
Okay.
kind of like contested ground.
All right.
Okay. Here is one of them. They all like, the other thing that's amazing about these is there's so many people in the comments who are just like have no education, unfortunately, or like, wait, is this real? It's like, no, this is not real. Or there's conservatives being like, this is not real, like being really upset, like it's a joke, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So when you play, yeah.
Nationalists are really upset about Somali immigration to Minnesota for some reason. But the thing is, Minnesota is the homeland of the Somali people, and it was promised to us 3,000 years ago. In fact, one of the founding documents of the state of Minnesota is literally codifying into law that Somali people have self-determination on that land. As it states very plainly in the basic law in Minnesota, the land of Minnesota is the historical homeland of the Somali people, in which the state of Minnesota was established.
And it just keeps on going. I'm gonna play this.
What is he? I don't understand the bit. Is this like actually in?
No, exactly. He's just making it up. He's like pretending that there's documents that say that like this is gonna be the homeland.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's like that guy. I think is Somali. This is like a white American guy. Next.
Minas Somalia has the right to exist, and Minas Somalia has the right to defend itself. So Americans can have 49 states to themselves, but Somalians can't even get one of their own? Seriously? Minas Somalia is the only democracy in the entire region. I will have you know right now that Minnesota was actually promised to them 3,000 years ago. And if you disagree, that's anti-Somalianism.
So
I feel
a lot
like
of
it would have been better if he had said it's the only democracy in the entire Middle West.
That's true. That would have been even better.
These guys got to consult me before they post their bits.
A lot of them were more kind of visuals, so I couldn't play them obviously, but they're very funny. And I think it's a really cute response. I think it's funny because obviously it's making fun of Israel, but it also, there is like a really sweet way in the US in which like there are these kind of like secondary national histories in diaspora, right? Like you think of like the Irish and like, and I was seeing this in the comments too. There were people who were like Irish American who were like, we were promised Boston, and like, you know, like Italian Americans being like, we were promised New York. Like there's like a sweet kind of like connection. I mean, because like it is really random that like people from Somalia ended up in such a fucking cold place in the middle of the country, right? But just like that's a lot of being a refugee. The other thing people have been commenting on, which I honestly know nothing about, so I can't say, is that like part of the state of what Somalia is today is due to like a very complicated history of like U.S. intervention in the area, and just like also the kind of heartbreak of like people not thinking about those histories when they think about like why people are refugees in the first place and like why they had to migrate to the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah. I also just kind of on the whole Midwest anti-Muslim thing. Did you see that there was just a truck or a bus of guys who went to Dearborn, Michigan, and just were just being racist? They were going to mosques.
You
and
talked
stuff.
about this last time.
I don't think we talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was bad.
That happened. Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
And on top of that, CARE is a terrorist organization now.
Not yet. They're threatening to designate it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Potentially.
Right.
Which is crazy that CARE would be in like a group like APEC is just totally fine. But I don't know if there's anything more to say on that. It's just, it does feel like a really lazy revival of post 9/11 leading up to the Iraq War and like invasion justifications of like, but it's like, it's even worse. It's just more racial. Like it's more just surface level racial than like, oh, we're gonna let you read between the lines and associate the danger with these Muslims, but like, you know, people from this region, they got weapons of mass destruction and they just hate freedom, right? Like you just kind of read between the lines, but now it is just so like It's just a lazier, shittier version.
I think that's such a good way to describe it. Yeah. It feels like exactly like a post 9/11 revival moment, except for like, I mean, not like Bush had like finesse, but like Trump is just such a like buffoon. It's just like very blatant.
It's almost like he woke up a couple of days ago and saw that in his agenda it said your Islamophobia assignment is due tomorrow.
Do all the things.
And he was like, "Oh fuck, I haven't been working on my Islamophobia
I was so excited by Zohran, I forgot about this
science project."
Yeah.
And so he just like read the Wikipedia for that time period for post 9/11, and he was like, "All right, let me try some of this stuff."
Yeah, I think
and then
you're
he just
right.
couldn't quite remember exactly what it said.
For those who don't know, so CARE is Council of American Islamic Relations, and it's essentially like a Muslim version of the ACLU. They do a lot of legal support work with cases of discrimination, cases of anti-Muslim sentiment throughout the U.S. I have a couple thoughts on this. First, I totally agree with you. I feel like I'm not saying CARE is perfect, but like, in what world does it make sense that AIPAC, and honestly, I've come around on this. I used to feel a little bit more squeamish about it. Even the ADL, like, are such biased organizations that do so much work with foreign entities.
Mm-hmm.
If they can exist, like CARE can exist, that's fucking bullshit.
The ADL
Like-
actually has a history of surveilling and harassing American college students.
They do. The reason I won't even, you're right. I don't need to defend them anymore. I feel like it's complicated because
They defend themselves. It's in the name.
like CARE, they were kind of like the default group for a long time whenever there were genuine acts of anti-Semitism. And so it's really depressing that they've also done so much sort of like anti-Muslim stuff because they did some important work, you know. But yeah, certainly CARE is no less, or CARE is not any more biased than those two groups. And in fact, I'd wager it's less biased. So like, there needs to be a standard that's universal, or we need just to kind of accept that like lobbying is okay, you know?
But it's not even registering as a foreign agent. They're designating them as they're trying to designate them as a terrorist.
Well, that's what I'm
group.
saying is like, how can AIPAC not be a terrorist group then if they're abetting with terror abroad? Like,
Yeah.
right.
Or that they're publishing lists of Americans and targeting them for harassment.
100%. Yeah.
No.
There is like a pretty significant precursor to this, which honestly, I feel like as someone who works on Islam in the U.S., I actually need to learn more about the details. But do you remember the Holy Land Foundation? It was like a charity group that existed. I think it was actually the biggest Muslim American charity group, and it got shut down after 9/11. They did charity distribution throughout Palestine, mostly in the West Bank, but they were accused of abetting Hamas. And it was this kind of like post 9/11 witch hunt thing. This documentary that I want us to talk about in the podcast next time had some really interesting details about how a lot of the like testimony was anonymous evidence from like Israeli IDF soldiers. But there were 5 men that were charged with terrorism, and the group was disbanded. And there's been a lot written by legal scholars about like what a sham trial it was. I don't know enough to kind of weigh in, but there is like a precursor to this in the U.S. of Muslim American charity organizations being successfully like targeted.
Yeah.
That was a little bit different in that they were doing charity work abroad, whereas CARE is very much focused on like Muslim Americans and Muslim American issues. But actually, one of the people who was charged for the Holy Land Foundation case was closely affiliated with CARE, so there's like some overlap there. You brought this on my agenda, or like brought this to my attention, that there's also calls again for Muslim Brotherhood affiliated groups to be banned.
Right. And not only here, but in Kuwait, in all of the Gulf, they're just cracking down on the Brotherhood, and we're kind of getting weird like trickles of that here. Yeah,
it's interesting. Like, so there have been a couple of different waves of calls for Muslim Brotherhood affiliated organizations to be banned in the U.S. Like, Ted Cruz has been obsessed with this for years. He's had like a bill that he's tried, I think, since like 2015 to introduce.
His membership was rejected.
You think that's why?
Yeah.
He really wanted to be part of the Brotherhood. He didn't get to be. Maybe. To be honest, here's the thing. There are many Muslim American civil organizations in the United States did have Brotherhood connections when they were first founded. That's just like a fact, but they don't anymore. So for example, like the Muslim Student Association, the MSA, which like is in every college campus across the U.S. that started in the United States in the 60s. Most of the founding members in the U.S. were international students that had brotherhood connections back home. But again, these connections are not ongoing. And also, like, I'm not going to like try and give hot takes about the brotherhood because that's out of my depth, but I know enough to know that the brotherhood means different things in different places. And that ironically, I want to like be careful with my wording here because I'm not trying to say like, yay, brotherhood, or like I would be personally excited to live under a state run by the brotherhood. But like crackdown against the brotherhood in a lot of the Arab world has overlapped with anti-democratic acts. It just has. I mean, like, for example, in Egypt, like the brotherhood was democratically elected only in power for a year. And then like the military took back power.
And
right?
it's the same way in Palestine where Israel is just like anything that Hamas touches. Well, Hamas has been the de facto government and I guess the de jure government since like 2007. But they're like, yeah, we bombed this hospital because it was run by the Hamas health minister or whatever. Or like, we don't trust Hamas. And like, you're like, yeah, it's a political party and it also has separately like an armed resistance movement. And you're just being stupid about the delineation between these things. And so you're lumping them all in and you're using it as justification to do whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, Hamas itself is an outgrowth of the brotherhood in Palestine. I think the one thing that to distinguish there is that like the brotherhood is very conservative on things like gender, for example, right? Mm-hmm. It is a populist movement. It does have a lot of popular support. It has historically filled in social services for poor people where the government has not in many contexts.
Yep.
And so like part of what Egypt gets to do right now is be like, well, we're secular. We're anti like political Islam.
Yep.
But then like while they're quote unquote secular, one, they still do some things in the name of religion. And then two, they suppress the shit out of their people, right? So it's not like, it doesn't mean like, being secular, you can really use ideology to do lots of things as a government. Being secular doesn't mean they're democratic.
Yeah.
And again, like, I don't know anything about like the history of the brotherhood.
Not to mention that the Muslim Brotherhood president was the one who was democratically elected.
Right, exactly, 100%.
Yeah,
That's the point, totally. And there's a lot of
Muhammad Morsi
speculation
was-
about like, would cops have been safe under? And the thing is, we really just don't know because it was only a year. So
Yeah.
like, and like, I don't say that to make light of the concerns of that community. Like maybe it would have been an issue. You know, I'm not saying like a brotherhood government would have been a just government, but in Egypt at least, there's just that didn't really get to play out. I've heard, but I don't know enough at all to comment on that. Like the history of the brotherhood in Sudan is more complicated. So like, there have been places where the brotherhood has come into power, but it seems like it really varies on a country by country basis, and it just seems to be a bit of like a boogeyman for the U.S. But you're right. Why is it happening at the same time as like Kuwait? That's so weird. Like, is there
And the Gulf. I mean, I think just generally in the Gulf, there's more of an attempt to secularize their governments and to find other places for their capital. And I think in order to do that, they just have to liberalize their governments in a certain way.
like to show the West that they're doing it? You think like. I think
guess
it's
so, but
that.
also I think it's exactly what you said. It provides a convenient excuse for them to develop their own kind of like military industrial complex. Like they've been buying up a lot of US weapons and implementing more surveillance, and it kind of just goes hand in hand with this sort of like new form of colonialism where they're doing a lot of things. They're pushing capital onto the cultural front. I mean, I'm talking about like Saudi Arabia and Dubai specifically,
Right.
but you know, they're buying up a lot of tourism real estate, especially in Egypt. I actually did not realize that like almost 88% or 80% of Egypt's Mediterranean coastline is like bought up by Gulf states.
Crazy.
But anyway, so they're doing that. They're buying a lot of sports stuff, a lot of entertainment stuff. At the same time, they're building out their militaries more. They're building a lot more. And I think that maybe 20, 30, 50 years from now, their their sovereign wealth funds, I don't know. I don't know if they're just going to keep going if they spend them down. And I also just don't know if they're going to be able to continue to prop up their economies past a certain point, because right now they're able to do it with slave labor. But I don't know. Like at a certain point, I think they're going to have a bunch of people who are on their lands who they just have to control. And that's why they're doing all this stuff, is because it'll keep the royal families very rich while everyone else is very poor.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's kind of the thing with cracking down on the Brotherhood specifically, is that some of these Gulf states, including like Kuwait, has literally stripped like actual Kuwaiti citizens of citizenship for affiliation with the Brotherhood in the last like few weeks. I think that by saying that they're cracking down on the Brotherhood, they're able to actually crack down on populist democratic movements while making it appear as if they are like making nation state type moves that like the US would approve of. But it's interesting because like the US proclaims to be pro-democratic, but they're actually like fairly anti-democratic actions. And they're not. The other thing that's really interesting here is the way that like secularism is operating. Like, so for example, like Saudi has banned some Muslim Brotherhood leaders from like making pilgrimages to Hajj. But Saudi is obviously like really like styles itself as like a Muslim state, and like Sharia is part of like the constitution, and like how like fiqh informs like law. So it's just interesting. It's like what expression of Islam is like allowed by the state.
I think because also just religion is such a powerful thing there, they still see it as a threat to their way of governance and like their means of control of a lot of people.
Right. The state wants to be the one who's defining what religion is.
Yeah. Or to thoroughly just make sure that it's not really such a primary motivating force in people's lives over time, and they're just trying to ride that out. But I think they feel threatened by it in the sense that, especially in times of just like severe economic inequality, and just like a lot of geopolitical disaster, people do turn to religion as a strong motivator.
And it's a strong organizer. That's the thing.
And they can't control it. And it gives people an ability to like imagine horizons beyond what is currently happening. And they're afraid of that.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is I think it's not just like a imagined thing. I think it is absolutely, you're right. But also like, again, the Brotherhood also is very populist. Like it provides actual material relief to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing that like obviously gets people interested. You know what I mean? It's almost like a bit of a similar thing to like, obviously nothing in common or not much in common ideologically necessarily, but like the Black Panther movement in the US, like, yes, people believed in the message, and also people got lunch and food, and you know what I mean?
No one would go, I mean, not no one, but I have a hard time believing that your, average run of the mill citizen would excited in Saudi Arabia would go and, die for Saudi Arabia unless they were paid to as a soldier, right? So you'd have to have money to motivate them. But I think someone would die, like a poor person would die fighting for their freedom if they felt like they were doing it in the name of Allah or like God,
I'm confused. What does this have to do with the Brotherhood?
I'm saying that's the kind of like seeking justice. Like you have someone who is motivated by more like ideological, spiritual conceptions of like what is just and what is right and wrong.
Oh, I see.
A poor person's more likely to just die for those things and not need to be paid money, and they are very committed to those ideals, as opposed to someone who is just living in the nation state and they don't feel that strongly about it. They're just a person existing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a threat. Always.
So like something that kind of goes beyond the nation state is a threat, like something that kind of has like an alternative.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, returning to the case of the U.S., I mean, I hope it doesn't pass, because the way that they're talking about what it would look like is like even if there was past affiliation, and that's the thing that would be really devastating. Like there isn't that much present day affiliation between the Brotherhood and like Muslim American civil organizations, so that's not an issue. And that seems like such bullshit to be like, even before this was designated as a terrorist organization, like now it's, Yeah, interesting.
All right, what else? Okay. I had some stuff on affordability that I wanted to get to. I think it's interesting to talk about. I was looking at People's Policy Project run by Matt Brunig. And And there are just like a couple different pieces generally on the theme of affordability and income inequality that I thought might be interesting to talk about. Before we get to that, just quick other thing on the anti-Muslim stuff. I forgot to mention this, but apparently in Dearborn, they were supposed to get a Christmas tree that was purchased under the last mayor from China. Did you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so it was an artificial Christmas tree that was ordered a year ago or something, affected by the Trump tariffs.
So sad.
So it didn't come here on time. And then a Muslim businessman donated $10,000 so that they could have like a real Christmas tree, not that stupid bullshit artificial plastic stuff.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
Good reminder.
Are you looking at the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
I was checking my hair really fast.
Yeah, okay. Your hair looks great for the podcast.
Okay. That's a rude call out.
Yeah.
You look away when I'm talking sometimes, and I'll call you out.
Mm.
I was going to say it's a good reminder that there are Arab Christians, and there are plenty of Muslim and Arab Christians that live in close proximity to each other in this country also.
Yeah, and also that Christmas was saved by a Muslim.
Did you see that they're finally celebrating Christmas again in Palestine this year?
Yeah, okay. So that is very heartwarming. There was also, I don't think we mentioned it, but there was just a mass wedding after, not that there's actually a ceasefire, because Israel just continues to kill people every day, creating these zones of different color. And if you venture 4 meters outside of the zone, like they shot like a 10-year-old, 8-year-old girl or something that was like a couple meters inside of a zone, and it automatically assumed anyone is a combatant there. But there was a mass wedding in Palestine of like 52 couples that got married, and just seeing video of people celebrating in the rubble, you're just like, these people are just gonna be here forever. It doesn't matter. And it's really sad, but it's also just simultaneously very joyous to see.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just wanted to mention that stuff, but back to the affordability stuff. There's an article that the People's Policy Project has about why people feel like they're falling behind generally, which I think is just like a widely felt sentiment. And a lot of people talk about income inequality and they talk about wages falling over time. And it can be a little misleading when talking about it, because people say, oh, compared to the 50s, like people make less money now and all this stuff. And when you adjust for inflation and all that, like people still make more. But there's still this
I think cost of living has gone up though, right?
I mean, cost of living has gone up. Yeah.
In a way that's not proportionate to wages.
Well, okay. So in this piece, he kind of takes that, argument that says that people just don't make as much as they used to. And he kind of breaks it down and refutes it a little bit and says that the thing that people are actually feeling, where they're feeling like they're falling behind, is actually that a single income household where the male is like the primary breadwinner, that person makes far below the median household income than they used to. So just to kind of state this, let's see.
Can you also give people a little bit more context on what the People's Policy Project is if they're not familiar?
It's just a think tank run by Matt Brunig. In 1963, the median man so defined earned $47,707. In 2024, he earned $83,000. One can quibble with the inflation adjustment in various ways, but it's going to be very difficult to quibble with it enough to make sure that the 2024 figure, to make it lower than the 1963 figure. Thus, a single earner family headed by this sort of man should be able to have a standard of living that is at least equal to their 1963 predecessor. But then you look at the median family income of these same men over the period, and these men had a total family income of $58,000. In 2024, it was $151,000. And so that reflects a rise in the married men's earnings, because their spouse's earnings have gone up, right? So like women work more, women earn more, etc. So dual income houses, earning families, like, earn a lot more, but they also have some more expensive. So the question is, if the median married man who works full time is earning more than his 1960s predecessor, and his family is receiving way more, then why do people feel like they're falling behind? And you kind of just take a look at both of the numbers together. And in 1963, a family surviving solely off a median married man's wage would have an income that was 81% of the median family income. So if you're a single earner, again, you're making 81% of the median. In 2024, such a family would only make 55% of the median family income. So that's gone way
Is the
down.
argument that like it's because men are making less of the percentage that people feel this way?
I don't think that's the argument. I think it's just kind of in the numbers trying to explain away the contradiction of like, oh, people earn less, but they don't actually.
I guess.
But feel like they earn less. And it's, like the single income households do actually earn far below the median than they used to. And so they can't keep up.
And so adding on to that, I guess it's like not really a choice now. Like both partners have to work, which also then means that you have to pay for childcare, which is very expensive.
Yeah. And there are, so that's the thing. It's like you'll have more costs in terms of childcare, but with both parents working, you have to make a lot of trade-offs. It's like, oh, we spend less time together. We spend less time with kids potentially. We kind of have an economy. And not to sound like too much of the whole like conservative trad wife.
I was going to
thing.
say, you're trying to go back to the 1950s?
No, not necessarily. But like, I mean, yes, in the sense that like a single income, it doesn't matter if it's the father, mother, whatever your family
ideal.
looks like.
Should cover it.
A single income should be able to cover the family, but it doesn't.
Alternatively, what I think really should happen is that I think like care work in the home should be monetarily compensated. Like I think that if you are a full-time parent, there should be government subsidy for that.
Yeah. And I think it's also, I mean, it's like what you said, right? It's maybe people adjusted for inflation aren't necessarily earning less than their, 1960s, 1950s counterparts, but things are just way more expensive.
I mean, for example, like without help, it would take us a long time to buy a house.
Yeah.
Like those kind of things do seem to have changed within a generation, even for people who are like solidly middle class. Yeah.
And there are probably a lot of different factors that go into it, right? Like I think he also mentions like assortative marrying patterns. So people, high earners tend to marry other high earners. So you don't really have like someone who is, from like a high pedigree normally marrying someone who was previously. I think we are kind of a weird couple in that way, but I am a higher earner than you.
I was
going to
say,
is not.
I come from a more, I guess I came from like a more class privileged background, and I have a higher I have more education than you, but you earn more than I do. So I think it depends. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. But I come from like a much lower socioeconomic background, and
but as an
kind of
adult,
living the American dream.
I was gonna say, but as an adult, you have been in a pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is that wait, I had a thought. What was it? Oh, apparently there's really interesting literature coming out. I follow this podcast called Starter Marriage, which is a lot of like therapy stuff, but really interesting, just thinking about the dynamics of marriage in general. I highly recommend it, actually. I kind of want you to listen to it with me in the car. But something she's been talking about a lot as someone who researches marriage.
Yeah, hold that mic closer.
Is that apparently marriage itself is becoming more class stratified. Like only middle to upper middle class people are getting married, which is interesting. Like marriage itself is becoming a class
so
marker.
not even just who you choose as a partner, but
like marriage in the U.S.
the institution is
becoming a class marker. Yeah.
I can kind of believe that, but I also think I think in the U.S. we're just like, we tend to look at household economic units as, like married, like a nuclear family.
Well, that's the thing.
But
There's lots of different kinds of units.
There are a lot of, and that's I think this is one thing that I love about Matt Brunig's kind of general arguments about redistribution when you distribute. Like it really needs to the benefit needs to go to the individual and not necessarily the household, because the household, when you look at data, it gets weird. People have like really flexible, unique like housing or household arrangements where it's like maybe your uncle is living with you for a bit, or
Right.
maybe it's just like a, you know, a polycule. I don't know, or like maybe
we know friends who already support their parents.
maybe
yeah.
there's a kid living with like grandparents or an aunt, or you know what I'm saying? Like
That's
it's
why
just,
I think there also should be caregiving subsidies. I know that this exists in some forms, but like both for like children, but also for elders. Like that
Yeah.
should be work that is financially compensated.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, benefits need to just be tied to individuals and not necessarily to families, which is,
Or to functions within household, I think. If we define household more broadly, like for example, if you are doing a lot of caregiving, like I think that is of benefit to society and that should be financially compensated.
yeah, but that is, really specifically tailoring it to things like that tends to be kind of difficult because you need to create more of a paper trail to prove it. And then there are all these, there's a lot
I
of
think there's a
paperwork.
lot of economic feminist theory about why like a healthy society economically would involve monetizing caregiving. And like that's something that has been done, for example, in like the Scandinavian states, is that there's ways that the state is actually like subsidizing essentially like what would be caregiving roles, or is there's a little bit differently. I guess the state is just providing them. Maybe that's the
Right. That would
difference.
be,
Yeah.
that would be a better way of like,
That's
as
fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's about how you administer it, right? Like, do
Yeah.
you administer an additional bonus to an individual for caregiving, even though they're not like a registered caregiver or that's not their primary job? That seems like a hard thing to
That
prove
already
on
happens
paper.
a little bit. Like you do,
Yeah.
right? But like, and
But it's not
apparently
efficient. It's not
some
an
of that
efficient
is at
distribution.
risk. But I mean, I don't know. I think there's a way that it could be increased. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I think the cleaner way would just be to say
The
like
state
the government's
does
just
it.
going to subsidize this thing, and like a caregiver can come to your house, or you can
Yeah.
register as one maybe somehow.
Maybe, maybe that.
And, but yeah.
But yeah, very interesting to think about, like in terms of like why does it feel like people are falling behind? I think also we live in times of a lot of uncertainty with like the tariffs and with like just general a decline of empire, and I think that also leads to a sense of like nervousness
Yeah.
around
I
economics.
mean, we dropped to a single earner income household for a little while, and
a little while for 13 months. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to overly dramatize our situation or anything like that, but it was very destabilizing, and we were just like, we had saved a little bit. We didn't
I think
save
it was
a ton.
more destabilizing for you than it was for me. I think you have some like trauma around like, if that is that, you can cut that if you want, but I feel like it was like a little scary for you in a way that it wasn't quite for me. But
I mean, in terms of could we afford it? Like, we made some life changes. We didn't grocery shop the same way that we did. We didn't, like, there were things that we traded off. Fine, like totally whatever. These are the things that we enjoyed as luxuries on a previous like dual income earner household. But just kind of, again, going back to the cost of rent and stuff, it's just like, it's expensive.
I don't want to be a
and-
conservative bootstraps lady, but I think to be fair, like
And groceries are a lot more expensive.
okay,
So much just
I
more
think
expensive.
also though, like we choose to live in an apartment that is incredibly expensive for the city we live in, and like the thing is that like we just didn't have an ability to get out of our lease, and we also like the place that we live. But I think that, yeah, I'm not saying it would have been as comfortable, but like our very last month, we finally didn't go into savings because you were working a part-time job for that month, and we made it work.
I don't think I ever said, but I was working a part-time job at the old Apple store.
Which Ahmed hated.
Oh my God, it was awful.
He absolutely hated it. It was like he was being waterboarded every day. He
The training
really
was
did
just
not
the
like
most
it.
severe psychological torture I've ever endured in my
Literally
life.
so dramatic. But I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, I'm grateful you did it because that was the first month we didn't go into savings, you know?
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I'm not trying to do away with the fact that like it is easier to be in a two-income household. But I also think that the one part of our spending that we couldn't adjust was our rent because we were locked into a lease. And I think that it is a choice and not a necessity that we live in a place as beautiful as we do, as large as we do.
No.
So if we were budgeting on just my income, we would have lived differently, you know, from the
sure,
outset.
but I'll say to that one, it wasn't the only thing. Like, even if we adjusted our grocery shopping habits, groceries are still really fucking expensive.
For sure. But we were able to adjust that. We couldn't adjust
Utilities
our
are a
rent.
lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Things that we need, like gas, everything like that is like pretty expensive. And then
For sure.
even if we moved out of here, on our single income household, like I just don't know that we would have been able to buy a house that we liked.
I agree
or
with you.
anything like
for
that.
sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure. I'm not trying to say that. Yeah.
So in order for us to just like be able to get out of the rent market and be able to get something more stable that is
Totally.
affordable, like
it'd be tight. Yeah.
even in Pittsburgh, it's not really
But I mean, then again,
that
like
easy.
I have no shame about this. I think that there is like a deeper thing behind our love for aesthetics. So I'm not trying to like shame ourselves, but we do have friends. I also want to be clear that we're in a really privileged position. I think it's good not to overlook that because we do have friends that live off of just my income and have bought a house. Like that is possible here.
Yeah.
It's just maybe not a house in an area that would be walkable for me since I don't drive or like et cetera. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Right.
Or like wouldn't be like our dream house that we'd want to like that would
I guess
work
what
for kids.
what I'm saying
like,
is that
if we have
this
kids.
rings true because it wouldn't be like a median, like a middle class lifestyle. Like we wouldn't have been middle class on just your income.
As two people,
Yeah.
I mean, like technically, or we
Especially
wouldn't
then
have
with-
felt that way.
I think I don't know, maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Things got cut. By the way, things got cut back, and the only reason that our quality of life didn't go down like even more drastically was because we had saved up some money and we were dipping like $1,200 a month into savings.
Yeah,
So we were kind of subsidizing.
our lives. Yeah, for sure.
So if assuming like most people just don't have that, right? If we had wiped that out completely, there would have been even more drastic cuts,
For
especially
sure.
with like about to increase like healthcare costs for me.
Sure. Yeah,
And yeah, I just think it is very hard.
it is
And-
very
and it-
hard, and I think we would have moved into a place where rent was $1,000 a month,
Yeah.
and that would have helped significantly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it wouldn't have been the ideal place, perhaps, but like that's but those are the kind of choices we'd have to make.
Sure.
I think there's some valuable lessons from this time. I think one, we eat at home a lot more, and we've been eating more healthily, at least for me, which I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
I think we diversified our grocery shopping a little bit in a way that we'll continue to do. And then also, I've realized luxuries that I did miss that I am grateful to have back. Like, it's really silly, but like, just like beauty products, like I really cut down. I wasn't buying new things. I wasn't buying like the brands that I like. That's been something that's been incredibly nice to have back. We missed giving. Like, we weren't giving to causes that we normally support.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were quite a few things. And I think I missed travel a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other lessons for you from like our personal move down to one income? It also definitely felt, I will say, this is the thing that I think it's hard. We're not like looking to have a kid in the next year, but I think it is something that inshallah we're hoping to do relatively in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea of having
I'm
a
gonna
kid,
get pregnant. We're doing it
we're gonna switch it
non-traditional
up.
style.
Yeah, we're gonna mix it up. I will say, not that people can't do it because people do it, obviously, but I will say that like whatever the federal government says, I would feel like it was difficult to have a kid on just my income with you.
Yes.
I think that would be incredibly tight.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
people
yeah.
do it, obviously. I mean, that's not even considered, that's considered middle class still, but that does seem very hard.
I don't think that's considered middle class anymore.
Really?
If you have a
80
kid.
for 3? I'm curious. It shouldn't be, because like, how do you pay for childcare with that? That'd be so hard.
You don't live in New York.
I'm thinking Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So I
Middle
guess like,
class.
just to kind of go back to the question of like how did dropping down to one income change things, it did make the only point of stress I did feel a little bit was like, oh, future plans that I have, like having a kid, like buying a house, feel like they're like a little bit nebulous now. Like it's harder for me to plan for the future, and I found that a little bit stressful. Does that kind of make sense?
Mm-hmm. It says it's like 100,000 to 120,000 based on the summaries that I'm seeing.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
Working
interesting.
couples with one child require a median income of 86,459 to cover their needs. That's mostly due to child care. This is from last year on CNBC. It's an analysis by Smart Asset.
What other reflections do you have on going from two incomes to one?
So I was mostly afraid that money was just like a tense thing in my house growing up, and like a lot of arguments about, I think, stemmed from that. And so I was just afraid that we would reproduce some of that stuff. And I was like, I don't want to argue about money.
We did a little bit, but not too badly, I hope.
I mean, like, when I say argue.
No. I'm saying I hope it wasn't triggering or like.
I don't think we argued about, I mean, I think we had disagreements, but I don't think we ever like actually fought about money.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Which is good. Mostly I was afraid that like I would be so frustrated by it that I would just like have less patience for other things, and how I would react to that. I think so. I'm glad that didn't happen. I felt like for such a big change in our lives, it felt like there was like a generally supportive dynamic, and that it was just kind of a mindset of, okay, well, it's not ideal, but we'll figure something out.
And to be clear, the not ideal part was how long it lasted. I think we didn't know. Yeah.
And it was just kind of like people adjust to whatever their situation is, and I think we were willing to do that, and it didn't feel like it undermined our marriage.
No.
Right?
I'm also really proud of us. I feel like the fact that like we did take this risk, but like, and I'm not saying like anyone should follow what we did or like whatever, but I feel like we took a calculated risk. Like we did have savings, otherwise we wouldn't have done this. And also like, I don't want to overly glamorize, but like, and I feel bad because I know that you were really psychologically stressed for this year, but like for me personally, I do feel like there were a lot of really beautiful things that came out of this year. Like the cafe, for example, which like has added so much to our lives, and like a chance, even the not traveling, like I felt like much more rooted and present in the community that we're in.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. And you've also just like been doing more around the house and been more of like, you're always a very good caregiver. Like you cook and all that, you do a lot of things, but that kind of like stepped up in a way that was really lovely. So I don't know, there were positive things too.
Yeah, for sure. I would say the other thing is that I think it kind of takes some of the stress, because I think a lot of my work stress previously and anxiety just came from the idea that if I got fired from my job, we wouldn't know what to do, and it would just be the end of the world essentially.
That's such a good insight.
And now I'm like, yeah, if I get fired from my job, it's definitely not a good thing, and it's not ideal, but I guess it's not the end of the world. So
I'm so happy to hear you say that. That's so great.
Which I think ironically will just make me better at my job, because I won't constantly be anxious about it. Yeah.
I think for sure. That totally makes sense to me. Yeah. I think also the kind of like networking that you were forced to do, and also like the number of like interviews you did, like all of that has made you actually learn quite a bit.
I did a lot of interviews and mock interviews too.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I think also like we have a privilege that like unfortunately a lot of people don't have, which is really devastating. Like not only did we have some savings, we also we ultimately had family. Like we had a backup plan. And we're grateful for our family for allowing them to be a backup plan. But like, I think that there's an interesting difference there too that I totally get and respect more. Now, like to me, the idea of us moving in with my parents together was not so devastating. I think because they're my parents. But I think for you as like a son-in-law, there is like a different feeling there of like wanting to show that you can, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, at least we had that option if it came to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or honestly, just getting someone to take over our lease would have been an option too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Or you continuing to work at the Apple store, all different options.
Oh man.
I'm glad that's over.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to, because they constantly remind you that they're going to fire you in January because it's a seasonal job.
Seasonal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I did the 2 weeks of training, and then I was off the week for Thanksgiving. And while we were off is when I found out that I was going to get the offer, and that's when I left.
Did you only work 2 weeks? I thought it was like 3.
It's like 2 or 3.
It felt like a lot longer. That's so funny.
Yeah. First day, I guess it's 3, because first day was end of October.
It totally changed our schedule, so it felt like kind of more profound than that.
Yeah. But I pretty much did the training. I was out on the floor for 1 day, and then I gave my resignation before I was supposed to go back earlier this month. And I mean, they just didn't respond to me at all. They just took all my shifts off and like didn't say bye. Like I sent like a nice email. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. This is probably disruptive, but I got hired full time. And they didn't even, like no one was even like a little bit like, oh man, that's such a bummer, but like congratulations or anything like that. You get the sense that they're like, this guy really screwed us over during holiday season. I'm like, you guys constantly like told us to our faces that
this was
we wouldn't have a job in January.
Yeah.
And that if the store didn't sell enough fucking iPhones or Apple Watches and we didn't have jobs, then that's the reason why.
Did they say that?
Yeah.
That's outrageous. Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, it's funny, but
yeah. I just wanted to say I'm very proud of you for taking the risk. I know that like I think it's also one of those really lovely things about being married is to be able to like make those decisions together. Because I feel like from a lot of outside perspectives, like maybe it wasn't the most strategic thing to do, but I feel like personally for me, it was like an important thing to do. And I'm glad that we like were on the same page through it. And I feel like it was almost like exposure therapy. Like I'm glad that you feel like a little bit less nervous now. And I was really happy to have you for a year. I'm going to miss you being so available.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It's a big year. I got addicted to drugs.
No, I mean, but really, you did do a lot of like healthcare investigating with your time off, which was one of the reasons that we were pushing for that. So I'm also really grateful for that.
That's true. It all kind of happened at once.
Yeah.
What else did I have? Nothing else really on affordability. I was gonna talk about like tie this to Zoran Mamdani and the Democratic Party, and then like the Kamala Harris New York Times piece about her saying like "Don't count me out just yet" and going on her book tour, but it's whatever. I don't know.
Does it feel like a
We've
less?
been going for a while, so I think.
Yeah, maybe it's a good place to end. We could talk about those things next time.
I was gonna ask if Zoran Mamdani was going to inadvertently delay the end of the Democratic Party and whether or not overall he was good or bad for the movement.
He's good. He's good for the movement. We love him. No Zoran.
I think
slander.
I think the Democratic Party is realizing that it has to just kind of very like tentatively embrace him, and they're just like, okay, well, he won, so now we can't be outright hostile toward him. And when Kamala Harris was asked about whether or not Mamdani was good or bad for the Democratic Party, she was like, whatever, he's not bad.
She didn't like say anything really, or interesting.
And then also he's kind of, for one reason or another, ushering people toward like Democrat establishment people with the Chiose versus the what's that guy's name? Hakeem Jeffries thing.
He didn't endorse Hakeem, did he?
People were asking if Chiose should primary, and he was like, I don't think right now's the time.
Interesting. Yeah.
So he is kind of doing the Bernie thing where he's just like,
I think it's
I'm
way too early to say that.
I mean, I don't know. Like, we just kind of go based on what we see, and that's what I see.
But he's also hired people like, what's her name? Khan?
Lena Khan.
I don't know. I think he's making moves. We'll see. But I think in terms of like, if you're asking that he will help the Democratic Party rebrand in a way that will prevent a third party from, is that kind of what you're saying, from coming up? Or was that sort of the question?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like for a while, especially after Biden and Harris, that people were just like, fuck the Democrats. And we're ready to leave them. And now Mamdani's kind of come in and rescued the reputation a little bit.
I'll say a couple things about that. I'll say one, I think that we're in a bubble, and I don't think that the promise of a third party has ever been that strong. Not to say that it shouldn't be or that it's wrong to be invested in it, but it's not something I personally have a lot of hope for. So I don't think there's much of a bubble to be burst there. I think the question of like whether he'll radicalize the Democratic Party is a lot to ask for one person, and ultimately, hopefully, he represents like a movement and not just a singular person, right? Like hopefully more people should be primaried. Hopefully Brad Lander gets elected to Congress. Like hopefully, you know what I mean? There should be a move left.
But the Democratic Party kills movements. That's the problem.
And if that doesn't happen, then like, yeah, I mean, that's the Democrats' own fault if they don't. But I mean, I feel like I don't think that him winning is ruining the chances of a further left ascendancy. Like,
I'm not saying him winning. I'm saying
Yeah.
him sheepherding people into the Democratic Party and trying to, doing the same thing where he's like, oh, don't vote for this like third party insurgent. Like, go ahead and just stay with the safe Democrat candidate, the establishment guy.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's more likely that people will be pulled left by him. I think that's already happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the mayor's office is a little bit different, but at least in Congress, you don't really see that that's the case. Like with AOC, she hasn't really pulled the Democratic Party left. In fact, she's gotten pulled to the right. You get all these insurgent candidates who win upset elections, and yeah, the party's just not changing. The party's as bad as ever.
Yeah. I mean, you could say, I feel like it hasn't happened with like Summer Lee or Ilhan as much, or Rashida. But I mean, yeah, I think this is the thing we keep coming back to also is like, it seems like ultimately you want there to be a third party, which is fair enough. But I feel like is the argument then that like we shouldn't in the meantime invest in promising Democrats? To me, that feels like a little bit like burning down the system too fast in a way that will hurt more people.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it feels like a strategic mistake for him to continue to shepherd people into the Democratic Party.
And your one instance of that is the Hakeem Jeffries thing?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There have been others, right? Like with the Tish thing, and like there's, he's going to compromise where he needs to compromise.
I was going to say, I think part of being in governance is also like it's not going to be a perfect utopic blueprint. Like we should hold him accountable, but like with the Tish thing, I do think that like the NYPD would eat him fucking alive if he didn't make some kind of concession.
Yeah, I think the real overall strategy is that electoralism in public office has its limits, and those are the limits, and that's how I kind of view it.
That's fair.
However, I'll go back to like Bernie. I think Bernie built such a massive movement in 2016, and people generally felt like the primary was stolen from him, and there was good evidence that there was, conspiracy to steal it from him. And he was so popular and built this massive movement. And then at the end of the day, he took all those resources, all the lists, and then handed them over to the Democratic Party and said, vote for Hillary Clinton instead of, fuck this, I'm running as an independent.
I don't think this is a 1-for-1, but I hear you. I will say, like, I felt this way a little bit about like AOC and Bernie's like against oligarchy tour. It was awesome that people were coming out, but I was kind of like, okay, what are we doing with this?
No, exactly.
What is the
exactly?
What
Ultimately,
is the actual policy move? But I have been really happy to see Bernie like on the front lines with Starbucks in New York City with Zoran. Like, I do think that he put something into motion. Like, I don't think Zoran would exist unless Bernie existed. So there's sure. Still like stuff.
But like that's exactly right. Like the Fight the Oligarchy tour had this veneer of like we're actually doing revolution, but their whole thing was make sure to vote Democrat.
I mean, they didn't really have.
And then
like
Kamala
an action.
Harris.
Let me finish.
Well, sorry, no. I at the same time, Kamala Harris was in the news and being like, "Oh, I was hoping that the oligarchs would save us."
Okay, yeah. What I was gonna say was that I feel like there was a call to action that was missing. Yeah, I mean, I think that it can be good to like raise awareness and get morale up and all of that, but then that has to be channeled into something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
let's see.
Zoran Mamdani, I love you. I support you. You have my allegiance. I'm excited to be in a Mamdani, New York. I'll report.
I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to be like overly critical or pessimistic. Like I do think
you're also welcome to your opinion. I'm not trying to change it. I'm just saying that I adore him. I just wanted to be clear if he ever hears this.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you say?
Yeah, I think part of the strategy, whatever strategy there is, or like it just has to account for engagement and electoralism. But your frustrations with electoralism and the people who are doing it, I guess, have to be based in like the real constraints of what you're going to get from those offices and those people. I guess the thing is just like you want to sense in your heart of hearts that maybe like Zoran is not like a democratic liberal guy, and that there's more to him, and there might be, and maybe he's just like the person who can suffer that dissonance of being like, I'm going to do what I can in this office, but I know I'm going to do a lot of things that I myself find repugnant, you know?
I mean, yeah, he's not Jesus. Like, he's a human being.
No, he's got to be Jesus.
Part of an electoral
First of all,
system.
Zoran's got to work on the body.
Are you critiquing Zoran's body? Are you body shaming him? What the fuck?
Did you see when he was trying to bench press RFK Jr.?
What are you talking about? What kind of toxic masculinity stuff are you spewing right now?
Zoran Mamdani could not bench press.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
If we want Zoran Mamdani to be our Jesus, I'm just saying the man has got to get some abs.
It's time to end. He is a beautiful man. No toxic masculinity here.
I think Zoran, you need to, this is my advice, is my sincere advice to Zoran. He needs to go on a diet of 300 calories a day and do intermittent fasting and only drink water.
Go make a soup. Go get in the kitchen. That's the end of podcast. Go make soup, husband.
Okay, bye.
Bye.